Imagine this. Silence surrounds you, a blank canvas of sound waiting to be filled. There you stand, a microphone ready to catch the first whisper of thought as it materializes into words. But the purpose here isn't performance. It's a deeper act of creation. You're not just talking. You're exploring, sculpting your mind in real time, feeling out the contours of an idea as it moves from abstraction to articulation. This isn't something you do once. It's a practice, a ritual of sorts, repeated every day. And through this act, something remarkable happens. Thoughts are no longer intangible. They become tangible, shaped and sharpened by the act of speaking. What if I told you that speaking aloud every day is more than just refining words? It is, in fact, a method of thinking, one that has deep roots in the intellectual traditions of history. Let's not forget Lev Vygotsky's groundbreaking work on inner speech, where he observed that in our thoughts, when left to themselves, are chaotic, fragmented, but once verbalized, they're forced into structure, into clarity. Vygotsky wasn't simply philosophizing. He identified how this process of externalizing through thought sharpens it like a whetstone against a blade. Every time you speak, you're not only sharing an idea, you're reshaping it, making it clearer to yourself as much as to anyone else. There's a beautiful imperfection in speaking. We fumble, we pause, we hesitate. But those moments of hesitation, they're where the magic lives. Consider Winston Churchill, who, despite his legendary eloquence, wasn't born with it. He practiced endlessly, recording himself, fine-tuning his voice like a musician, mastering an instrument. He knew that true mastery comes not from perfection, but from revision. In daily speech, we meet the same process. We don't get it right the first time. With each recording, we refine our thinking, shape our expression, and clarify the rough edges. And what's more, neuroscientific research reveals that speaking aloud activates regions of the brain we otherwise leave dormant when we think in silence. Dr. Sophie Scott's work with fMRI scans showed that speech involves not just language centers, but motor control, auditory feedback, and even emotional processing. When you speak, you engage the brain in a way that silent thought can't. This isn't just a theory. It's the lived reality of the brain in action. Each part lit up like a city at night, bustling with activity. By recording your voice daily, you're doing far more than exercising vocal muscles. You're giving your entire cognitive system a workout. Let us pivot for a moment. It was how humans created their world. They saw speech as a way to shape reality, not merely describe it. When you record your voice, you're stepping into this intellectual tradition. You're not just capturing thoughts, you're participating in the act of creation itself. And that's not some lofty philosophical idea. It's very real. As Wittgenstein famously said, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Every time you record yourself speaking, you push those limits. You stretch the boundaries of thought, exploring new mental terrain with each spoken word. But here's where things get particularly interesting. It's about embedding those thoughts deep into your memory. The production effect, a concept rooted in cognitive psychology, suggests that speaking aloud makes information far more memorable. In studies by Colin McLeod, participants who vocalize their thoughts retain information more effectively than those who remain silent. Why? Because speaking creates multiple memory traces, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Your voice becomes a memory tool, carving into your brain in silent ways. And then there's the artistry of speech. It isn't merely functional, it's an art form. When you speak, you're improvising in the moment, much like a jazz musician, riffing on a theme. Consider the great Miles Davis. He knew the power of silence, of hesitation, of space between notes. When you record your voice daily, those moments of silence, those hesitations, those pauses, they are just as powerful as the words themselves. They give texture, they give depth. They transform a simple string of words into something more. Something alive with meaning, alive with your presence. Why does this matter to you? Or should you care about recording a speech every day? Because in doing so, you aren't merely learning to speak better. You're learning to think better. You're training your mind to grapple with ideas in real time. Speech has a way of revealing the shape of your thoughts in ways that writing or silent contemplation never will. Each recording becomes a mirror, reflecting back not just your voice, but the workings of your mind, unvarnished and raw. Think back to the great intellectual traditions. Socrates didn't write his ideas down, he spoke them. His philosophy was born in dialogue, in the rough and tumble of conversation. It's the same with you. Every time you record your voice, you're engaging in that same dialogue. Not necessarily with others, but with yourself. And over time, that dialogue deepens, sharpens. You begin to notice connections between ideas that weren't there before. You begin to find clarity where there was once ambiguity. Take the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which suggests that language you speak shapes the way you think. It's a contentious idea, but it brings up the essential question. Does the act of speaking daily, of shaping your thoughts into words, change the way you see the world? Does it refine your perceptions? The answer is likely yes. Each day that you record your voice, you're subtly changing the lens through which you interpret reality. Your voice isn't just reflecting thought, it's constructing it. It transforms your cognitive architecture. We've seen this in studies on neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to deliberate practice. Bilingual individuals, for example, often have enhanced cognitive flexibility because they engage in constant verbal exercises across languages. So what happens when you engage in this daily act of speech? Your brain rewires, neural pathways are strengthened, cognitive flexibility increases. This practice of recording your voice each day is not just an exercise, it's a transformation. With each spoken word, you are evolving, not just as a speaker, but as a thinker, a creator, an architect of your own mind. And perhaps, just perhaps, this daily ritual does something even more profound. Maybe it doesn't just sharpen your intellect, maybe it makes you more human. In a world increasingly dominated by text and screens, the voice, the living, breathing voice, remains the most immediate, most visceral form of communication we have. When you speak, you connect to something primal, something deeply rooted in what it means to be human. Let me ask you this. If every day you could speak your thoughts into being, if every day you could shape your mind, your reality, your world, wouldn't you?